Good morning, everybody. My name is Neera Tandon, and I'm president of the Center for American Progress. And I'm really thrilled for our event today, and thank you for coming. In 1963, 250,000 peaceful protesters marched on Washington to petition their government for both racial justice and a demand for economic justice as well. A year after the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, the pinnacle of years of marches, sit-ins, and protests, Congress passed and President Johnson signed the seminal piece of legislation prohibiting discrimination based on race, sex, religion, color, and national origin. Since then, additional protections against discrimination based on age or disability have been added to the law. But the Civil Rights Act, enacted 50 years ago on July 2nd, 1964, fundamentally changed the social and economic landscape of the country. Prior to the Civil Rights Act, years of disenfranchisement, segregation, and oppression meant that African Americans were on track to do worse than white Americans by every single indicator of success: income, wealth, education, home ownership. And I know we're focused on passing the baton to the next 50 years, but I hope we all remember what it exactly was like then. The Civil Rights Movement ushered in a period of greater prosperity for all. In the years that followed, African Americans, poor whites, women, and people with disabilities entered spheres of American life to which they had previously been denied. Today, our distinguished panel will reflect on the legacy of the Civil Rights Act and the movement that it made possible, a movement that sought to ensure everyone both had the right and the means to prosper in this country. 50 years later, it is clear the country has made considerable progress. More people of color get college degrees, own homes, make good wages than ever before. But as we focus a lot on a CAP, income inequality has also increased across the board. And we must recognize that the recession hit communities of color the hardest. As America grows increasingly racially and ethnically diverse, the success of people of color will determine our success as a nation. The fact is that if the United States in 2043, when its majority people of color has the same racial disparities that it has today, we will all be doing poorly as a country. Our economic growth will suffer, as well as our moral growth. Though life is better than it was 50 years ago in so many important ways, young people of color still face some of the barriers their parents and grandparents fought to break down, as well as a host of new challenges. And today's young people come of age during the the worst economic conditions since the Great Depression. And we must also remember that a system of mass incarceration disproportionately targets people of color, effectively rendering them permanently unable to fully participate in society. So it's clear we have a great deal more work to do to make the dream of equal opportunity a reality for all Americans. And we must retool our policy framework, really change the way we consider these laws as we go forward. So we are really thrilled for the distinguished panel we have today. And one of my personal heroes, Julian Bond, is going to be part of it. So I'm really excited to hear it. I'm thrilled to have Melissa Botiak, who leads our Poverty to Prosperity and Half in 10 program, and who has really been a visionary leader of all this work over the last several weeks. So thank you, Melissa. And I welcome you to the stage.
Hello, peace be unto you. I'm Hassan Rashid, and I welcome you to another edition of your Human Service News and Information. You know, it's always excellent being here with you, and it's such a great achievement for us to come into your lives like we do here at CCTV weekly, hourly, monthly. So once again, I greet you with the greetings of peace. Okay, first off, I'd like to greet you with a little sad news. I know that's not good, but it's good that a commemoration or memory or condolence is in place for that we offer a condolence. It's good on a sad occasion of the passing away of Melvin Jenkins. I know a lot of you people, that name might ring a bell to you because Melvin Jenkins, he was a street vendor for Spirit Change News, and you would find him on the street all the time selling Spirit Change News to supplement his income. Okay, so once again, I send out my condolences to Melvin Jenkins. He was a Spirit Change newspaper vendor. Okay, so if you'd like to have more information about learn more information about Melvin Jenkins or express your condolences or sympathy, you can contact Spirit Change News. They're on the web. Maybe later on in the program I'll have some additional contact information for you, but right now, if you'd like to express your condolence, etc., for Melvin Jenkins, Spirit Change vendor, you can go online, internet, at www.spiritchangenews.net. That's www.spiritchangenews.net, and you can express your condolence, sympathy for Melvin Jenkins, a Spirit Change vendor. Okay, so we should have additional contact information later on in the broadcast. Melvin Jenkins, one thing that he did while he was with us, before he entered the streets to sell Spirit Change News, he stopped at the day shelter, which was known as Bread and Jams. I know a lot of you might be familiar. Bread and Jams, a Harvard Square day shelter, self-help day shelter that was existed or stayed in operation in Harvard Square for about 25 years, but unfortunately they were forced to close due to federal cutbacks. So, but right now I'm part of a committee to restore valuable human services and funding that was lost to the community when Bread and Jam shut its doors, which no longer is in operation to take care of the needs of our homeless population that of the region. Okay, our regional homeless population who would frequent Bread and Jams, a self-help day shelter, for a number of things that included employment referrals, etc., and the main thing was housing to secure domestic housing. Okay, but that service is no longer in operation, but there is a great need, urgency for it to be restored to the community. Okay, so what I'm getting at is that there is a petition that's going around that's that will be presented to the local authorities, etc., and for the restoration of human services and funding to the homeless shelter known as Bread and Jams. So the thing is, if you'd like to participate and sign this petition, you can stop by the Alliance of Cambridge Tenants. That's the acronym is ACT, and they're located at 259 Harvard Street, Cambridge. That's 2 blocks north of Central Square, and someone will be there from normally from 10 a.m. to about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So if you'd like to sign this petition to restore human services and funding to the Bread and Jams homeless day shelter program, well, you can go right there. That's the Alliance of Cambridge Tenants at Jackson Garden. That's the ACT office, the corner 259 around Harvard Street. So, but ACT is noted in the community for helping low-income tenants with their rights. That's tenants' rights. If you have any questions or if you have a problem that relates to low-income tenant rights, Alliance of Cambridge Tenant is the place for you to go for help. Okay, that's they'll help you with matters that concerns the Cambridge Housing Authority and how to contact other agencies that relate to your dilemma with the housing, permanent housing if you seek that, or just temporary housing. That's a place to go if you're low income. That's Alliance of Cambridge Tenant Act office. And don't forget now, you can go by there, stop by there. That's 259 Harvard Street, and sign the petition to restore funding and human services back to the Bread and Jams program. Urgent. This is very urgent. Winter's coming up, and we have all summer to try to get this, the reestablishing of services, human services funding to Bread and Jams, because a lot of people are going to be out in the street this winter, and we don't want that. We don't want nobody finding out that somebody died of hypothermia because they didn't have a place to go, okay? So securing housing, that's what it's all about for the homeless people. So once again, that's Alliance of Cable Tenant. You can stop by there and sign a petition to help restore funding for Bread and Jams. And it's valuable human services that are offered to the homeless population. Okay, I'm Hassan Rashid. This is your Human Service News and Information, and it's excellent being here with you. Okay, and that's that was the gentleman that passed away. It's Melvin Jenkins. Our condolences go out to him. He's a human serviceman. He earned his living on the street selling newspapers. Okay. Okay, during the recent budget debate, the House adopted amendments providing increase to 3 line items for child welfare. Social workers for case management received an increase of $5.0 million over the HWM proposal to $185.4 million. The final House proposal is $12.3 million over fiscal year 2014 spending, coupled with a $3.5 million increase over fiscal year 2014 at DCF administration. House Ways and Means estimated DCF will be able to hire over 250 new workers, with the intention of maintaining safe and caseload levels currently considered to be 15 cases or less for each caseworker. Currently, many caseworkers have caseload levels of more than 20 due to annual turnover and the training needs of all the newly hired caseworkers. It is not clear if this funding will be enough to ensure average caseloads of 15. All of the caseworkers must first be trained and then also begin with the lower number of cases. Okay, the Child Welfare Training Institute, which provides the training to new caseworkers, did not receive any increase in House budget to account for all the new caseworkers who will be hired in 2005. Services for children and families received an increase in $1.2 million, largely tied to specific earmarks. Okay. Okay, racial diversity and government funding of nonprofit human services. Okay, does the government fund nonprofit human service organizations that serve and locate in the neighborhood with the greatest needs? This is an important question, as much of the safety net now takes the form of human service delivered, for the most part, by nonprofit organizations. Access to government benefits therefore relies increasingly on the location of nonprofits that are awarded government funds to provide human services. While conventional wisdom holds that the partnership between government and the nonprofit sector does direct government benefit to poor areas, recent research finds an opposite effect in poor neighborhoods that are substantially African Americans. Okay, investment in permanent and supportive housing reduces chronic homelessness. A study released in June by researchers of the University of Pennsylvania explores the relationship between community investment in permanent supportive housing and chronic homelessness. Permanent supportive housing programs provide permanent subsidies housing along with ongoing supportive service to assess the effectiveness of public supportive housing programs. Researchers conducted a longitudinal study using data from 372 continuum of care between 2007 and 2012. According to the study, increased investment in permanent subsidized housing units result in a decrease in chronic homelessness over time. Okay, proposed rules would create new type of a public housing authority consortium. Okay, and on July 11, HUD, that's the Housing Urban Development Office of Public and Indian Affairs, published a proposal rule that would create an additional type of consortium for public housing agencies The proposal would allow 2 or more public housing agencies to join to carry out the planning, reporting, and other administrative and management functions of the Housing Choice Voucher Program. This new type of consortium would be called a single annual contribution contract consortium or single ACC consortium. And ACC is the contract between HUD and a public housing authority setting out the terms and conditions under which HUD funds the public housing authority. The single ACC consortium would become a separate legal entity considered a single public housing authority with a single jurisdiction and a single set of reporting requirements for the purpose of HCV. That's the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Okay, Massachusetts budget, analyzing the legislature budget for fiscal year 2015. Okay, on June 30th, the legislature enacted the state budget for fiscal year starting July 1st, 2014. While the governor, House, and Senate had some different priorities and each introduced new initiatives, there were significantly more agreements throughout this year process than last year. With the limited revenue available, there was a consensus on the need to keep commitments made last year to make needed investments in our transportation system, to continue restoring some of the deep funding cuts made to the state's higher education system during the 2000s, and to fund reform for the system of paying human service providers. The final budget also reflects on shared commitment to begin to strengthen the capacity of the state's Department of Children and Families and to make new investments in substance abuse treatment and prevention. Governor now has 10 days from the enactment of the budget to sign it and veto any outside sections, the line items, or portions of the item. The budget then returns to the legislature, which can either let vetoes stand or override them with 2/3 vote of the House, Senate. The budget monitor, at this link describes funding levels and initiatives throughout the state budget and compare them to the past. Okay, so as soon as more information is available about that, we'll try to pass it along to you. Okay. Yesterday, that was yesterday, the governor signed into law the state budget for fiscal year 2015. The budget is a statement of priorities describing what we will do together in the coming year and detailing how we will pay for those things. With the limited revenue available, this budget focuses on a few priorities, including making investments in our transportation system, continuing the process of restoring deep funding cuts made to the state higher education system, and funding reform of the system to pay human services providers. Inside the budget, the governor also exercised his authority to veto line items or proportions of line items. These vetoes are small in the context of the full budget, reflecting a high degree of agreement among the governor, House, and Senate. The governor vetoes are detailed. Well, we won't go into detail because we don't. We're running a little short on time here. Okay, so but I want to try to get this in before our time run out today. That's the Caring Force. This is a little message from the Caring Force, and they're out there empowering people, strengthening human services. Okay, the day you've been waiting for is finally here. Okay, 10 days ago, the conference committee sent Governor Deval Patrick a budget proposal that included $200 million in new human service funding and an $8 million annualized salary reserve for low-paid workers. Okay, just months ago, Governor Patrick signed the spending plan into law, preserving critical human services investments and the salary reserve, which will provide a modest salary adjustment for many direct care. So you all should thank yourselves, all those who contact their elected officials to get this legislation passed and the salary reserve for low-paid workers restored. Okay, so you should all thank yourself as you participate in contacting your elected officials. Okay, so a few things here before we have to close out this episode of your Human Service News and Information. There's never enough time, but we try to do the best that we can to pass some of this information along to you that is not covered by the mainstream media. That's a Human Service News and Information that's not covered by mainstream media. Okay, right now locally, if you'd like to follow CCTV, You can follow CCTV on Facebook. That's facebook.com/CCTV Cambridge. Or you can follow CCTV on Twitter. That's twitter.com/CCTV Cambridge. Or if you like to follow Neighbor Media, you can check them out at neighbormedia.org or facebook.com/neighbormedia, twitter.com/neighbormedia, okay? And it's a little information about CCTV I'd like to pass along to you. But also, Cambridge Farmers Market, they're open now. They're in full swing now. Fresh produce that are in season. That's fruit and vegetables. So Monday, farmers markets. They're here every day of the week. So starting on Sunday, they're at Harvard Square. That's Charles Hotel, 1 Bennett Street, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday, Central Square. That's right here in Central Square. Central Square Farmers Market parking lot, Bishop Allen Drive in Norfolk, noon to 6 p.m. Tuesday, they're at Agassi. That's a Harvard University Farmer Market. Science Center Plaza, noon to 6 p.m. Wednesday, Kendall Square, Cambridge Center Farmers Market. Main Street near Kendall MIT MBT station. That's from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday at Kendall Square. Again, that's a Kendall Square Farmer Market. 500 Kendall Square, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Open. Okay, they'll be there until October 31st, every Thursday. That's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's a Friday, Harvard Square. They're back at Harvard Square on Fridays. That's a Charles Square Farmers Market, Charles Hotel Courtyard, 1 Bennett Street, noon to 6 p.m. And Cambridge Port Farmers Market, Moore School Parking Lot, Magazine Street, Memorial Drive. That's every Saturday, Cambridge Port. So they're there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I want to remind you that once again, the annual CCTV Backlot Barbecue is coming up, and I think this year is going to be held in October, September. So you got plenty of time to get ready for that, and we'll have more information on that next time that we see each other. So the opening video was about the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act, and unfortunately we didn't get a chance to continue that, but we'll try to get a little bit more of that video on before we close out here. I'm Hassan Rashid, and you know, to be successful, you should always keep your nose clean, play it straight, and don't forget to assist someone in need of your help to be successful. And don't forget now, if you'd like to sign a petition to restore Bread and Jams, the day shelter that operated at Harvard Square for over 25 years, which closed due to federal cutbacks, you can check the petition out at the Alliance of Cambridge Tenant Office. That's 259 Harvard Street, and they'll be there to help you with any other housing, low-income housing need that you have. That's 259 Harvard Street. That's the Alliance of Cambridge Tenant. I'm Hassan Rashid, and I leave you with the greetings of peace. So until next time, peace be with you.
Thanks everyone for joining us. So we're thrilled to be hosting this event for the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. As many of you know, it took years of civil disobedience and organizing and building power for this seminal piece of legislation to pass. As many of you also know, shortly after it passed, Dr. Martin Luther King commented, "What does it profit a man to be able to eat at an integrated lunch counter if he doesn't have enough money to buy a hamburger?" Activists then, similar to activists now, understand the connection and civil rights. And as we note in the report we're releasing today, over the past 50 years, we've seen enormous gains for people of color. But 5 decades later, people of color are still facing disproportionate rates of economic hardship. There are new threats and challenges that are looming large, and new opportunities to build power and continue bending the arc towards justice. As Neera mentioned, this intersection of economic justice and civil rights is especially pressing now as the millennial generation, the most diverse generation in our nation's history, is coming of age. At this critical juncture, the 50th anniversary is also the perfect opportunity to look back and look forwards. We have a blog posted today on Half and Ten's new website, talkpoverty.org, by anti-poverty and civil rights scholar Peter Edelman, in which he implores us to remember. I'll read a quick passage for you all. "We have to remember the murders and the lynchings, to remember the achievements and not despair, to remember the courage, to remember the power of movements, our only power that can fight the power of money and bigotry that still exists today.